Hey everybody, Darren Voros here. Today I'm here with Mike and Wendy, and we're going to talk all about short-term rentals and short-term accommodations. I'm so glad that they've taken some time out of their day to join me and talk about one of their favorite strategies. Before we get into it with Mike and Wendy, if you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and please feel free to leave comments and questions below for me. And without further ado, let's get into it. Mike, Wendy, so great to have you guys here. I don't know what's taking you so long. We've been friends
Hi.
for a
Yeah,
while, and I'm finally getting you here to do an
I
interview.
know.
Um,
Sorry.
Before we jump in, why don't you guys give us a bit of a background on who you guys are and what you do as real estate investors?
We've been doing this quite a while. We started when we were just youngsters
Oh, yes.
back in Vancouver. And about 10 years ago, we moved to Toronto. Not real estate related, but we've been learning the Ontario market. We've also invested in the US. Our main strategy is cash flow, positive cash flow.
It's a good
We like
strategy.
Why
it.
not?
Yeah.
We like it. It's good.
So, speaking of cash flow, that's where we looked at other strategies to increase our cash flow. And that's how we got to really look at STAs, or short-term accommodations.
Why are short-term accommodations or short-term rentals or Airbnb or VRBO or whatever you want to call them, why are they better in terms of cash flow than a standard rental in your experience?
Well, because the rent is, you get to set it. So it's not necessarily, it is obviously market dependent, but you get to raise it when it's high season and you get to change it when it's low season. Whereas if you've got a long-term tenant in place, that's your rent for the year. And depending on what state or province you're in, or a city that you're in, they only allow you to do a certain increase per year.
It doesn't take long for you to earn in an STA what you can earn in a long-term tenant. For example, we could charge $1,800 a month for a long-term tenant. It doesn't take that long to charge $250 a night to earn that $1,800 a month in an STA. There is more work involved. There are some expenses involved for sure, but overall, the amount that you're able to make above and beyond a long-term rental is quite significant.
And so how do you calculate the vacancy? Because as a long-term rental, we're going to probably calculate, you're going to have a month or two of vacancy like every 2 years. With if you have a strong rental market. If you're a short-term rental, what is that allotment? Like, what do you allow for vacancy? 250 a night is great if you got 30 nights, every month, but that's not the case, right? So how's that, what's that percentage look like, or how do you factor that in?
We typically calculate it at like 50% of the year. So that's a safe way to go. I mean, listen, depending on what market you're in, if you sometimes it's every night of the year you could have that place booked, right? But for safety, we calculate it at 50%.
What did you end up buying in Prince Edward County, and why did you choose that style of property?
Wendy was definitely the mastermind and had the vision on this property. I'd been to the area before. Like Wendy said, we'd looked at the area before. We've been keeping our eye on properties, but she found this property, and she can actually tell you the deal.
Oh yeah,
because it's an awesome
you
one.
Want to hear the deal? Okay. So it was listed last fall for $450. Then they lowered it to $425. It's a duplex, by the way. So this is a side-by-side duplex. And so I was intrigued. I saw the price go down. I was kind of watching it. And then I had called the county and I said, listen, I know you guys are having a housing crisis, and I know you guys are kind of putting the kibosh on that STA stuff. What's the deal? And they said, so long as you have a full-time tenant or the owner lives in one unit, you can have the other automatically grandfathered in as a short-term rental. And I'm like, oh, there you go. So because we thought, and they said, because if you're buying a single family home, I think we have 2 slots left, is what she said. And then after that, we're cutting off short-term rentals in this area because it's so saturated.
You haven't finished the deal.
Oh, the deal. So then I was like, okay, this is good. So then it was lowered to, the price went down to $425, and we offered $342.5 because it had been on the market. Because he'd been on the market for a while, and they took it.
Wow.
So yeah, so that was pretty awesome.
Before you jumped into this property, is there, for those people that want to get into short-term rentals, because this is actually something that has been very profitable, I think, especially with the current situation of what's going on, because people are spending more time locally traveling. What should first-time investors, people that are getting into this space, what should they be looking for in a property if they want to get into short-term rentals?
Well, listen, you're right. The pandemic sure has changed the face of STAs because, you know, if you live in a big city, you know that a lot of condo buildings and strata buildings have banned STAs because there's been too many parties and too many things that have gone wrong. So
and their own housing crises.
Right. So it's began to be limited in certain areas. So
make sure there's an appetite in the area that you're looking to invest in. Make sure that there's an appetite and it's worth doing.
Right. Yeah, again, it's about, you know, when you're purchasing a property, this is about running the numbers at the end of the day. If this thing doesn't cash flow when you're calculating at 50% of the year, like, you know, the high season, then, you know, probably don't do it. You know, it's one of those things where if you can get something that works all year round, even better. You know,
that was going to be my next question. Is, you know, does this property, you take away the Airbnb element of it, does it still work as a rental?
100%. And that was why, you know, we ran the numbers on all the scenarios, right? So we ran the numbers on renting it out as 2 long-term tenants. We ran it as, you know, what would be an STA and a full-time tenant, and at 50% of the year. And then, hey, listen, if we got lucky and did 75% of the year, what would that look like? And, you know, that was, we're laughing.
Amazing. Yeah. We're laughing at 2 long-term tenants. Anything above and beyond that.
Yeah, 2 long-term tenants we were cash flowing. So this is bonus. This is really.
I think another thing that first timers need to consider is how hands-on they want to be. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but fortunately, there's actually some online training that you can take on how to run Airbnbs. There's people that you can hire to run your Airbnb. So you can go from complete hands-on to complete hands-off, anywhere in between. So
you guys are about 2.5 hours away from Prince Edward County, if that's.
We're actually 2, which is great. So yeah. So
do you plan to use this for personal use as well? Like, did that decision factor into, you know, buying this as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We wanted something that we could maybe have, you know, a weekend away here or there to enjoy it. And yet, you know, make some money when we're not there, which was really cool. So
are you planning to block off time, or are you going to just kind of like see what's not booked and then try to take advantage of it?
That's a great question, actually.
You know what? We've got a JV partner on this project. Really, he wasn't too keen to be in on this deal. For whatever, he didn't know the area as well as we did. But we, you know, showed him our due diligence, and he understood the passion we had behind this particular property and this area. And he's come out to the property, and he's like, so can we book some time here? Can we? He is all over this place, and he just wanted to be in and out as an investor on this deal. And I think he wants to be in a little longer. We'll see. So,
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful area, and I've spent some time there too, and it's amazing what's happening there. The transformation with the wineries and the restaurants and everything.
Yeah.
Perfect location halfway between Ottawa, Montreal, and Toronto. So you've got both,
Exactly.
people. It's it's a phenomenal. I've been looking there for years. So whenever you guys want to sell this, just let me know.
Or we can do a flip to JB, and then
There you go. Yeah, there's many possibilities.
Yes.
absolutely.
Let's dive into the numbers if you guys don't mind. Can we talk a little bit about the
Sure.
numbers? You mentioned
Absolutely.
the purchase price. What was the reno? How long did it take? What did you do?
So the budget for the reno was 130,000, and that wasn't including the fact that at the point when we had the inspection done, the inspector said, "The plumbing's fine. Oh yes, don't you worry. All the plumbing looks great under here in the crawl space, and oh yeah, the electrical, don't worry, it's good." And then the plumber showed up to give us a quote for adding 2 bathrooms to the place. And he's like, yeah, and about your plumbing under here, this is like the worst DIY we have ever seen ever. Or like, it was in the top 5, I think, worst DIYs he'd ever seen. So we had to completely redo every stitch of plumbing in that house.
Plus run we converted one of the upstairs bedrooms into 2 bathrooms, one for each side, because when we bought the property, they were both 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and the bath was on the main floor where you have to traipse through the living room and kitchen to get to the bathroom. So we didn't think it was a very very good way to configure, especially an Airbnb.
No,
So you started with the 130 budget.
Yeah.
Did that escalate from there, like in terms of plumbing?
No, we came in right at 130. There was things that I had, budgeted for more than I thought. There were some trades that we had budgeted for that we were able to do the work for instead. So we saved there. And so that, extra $10,000 to put 2 new bathrooms in came out of that. So we had budgeted for, a flooring, for painting, and so Mike and I ended up doing the flooring and the painting, which saved us that money, which then we could then in turn put into the bathrooms, which was great. So yeah, we came in on budget. I moved there on May 1st, and I lived in the construction desk until basically September. So I had hoped to get it done. I had given myself 3 months to do the renovation. Not keeping in mind that I was actually renovating 2 houses, technically, not just one. Also not keeping in mind that I was in a small town where the trades are few and far between.
5 months on the reno, 130,000.
Hey, 4.5. Let's call it what it is.
4.5.
Okay, 5.
4.5. 130.
Yep.
You said you got it for 340. Is that what you said?
342.5. Yep.
So we're in for about 470.
475.
472. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
what did you do? How did you finance? Did you private? Did you cash out of your pocket? What'd you do?
So how we structured the JV deal was we paid for the reno, and he got the financing and did the closing costs.
And all the purchase costs.
Doing 50-50.
And so you're just going to leave that all in the property essentially. So whatever you guys have in, like, you're not planning to refi right away or cash out or anything like that.
We have options.
Yeah, for sure.
We may look at buying out our partner. We may look at flipping to a JV. We may keep it in there. We may refinance. There's like, really, we can do whatever we want with this property.
What would you say the valuation is? Like, after you have you increased the value significantly?
Yeah, it's about 675 is what the current value is.
So 200,000 in equity. Nice.
Ching.
For all the dust and the cuts and the bruises and the blood and the tears and the sweat.
Yeah. Our neighbor right next door to us just sold his property, which is barely still standing. He sold his property for about 560 private.
Well, we don't know. We're guessing. We think it's close to that.
Yeah.
575 maybe.
So
He won't tell us for some reason.
So 675 is a conservative valuation of this property.
Nice. So I'm just doing quick math here. You
Yeah.
know, you're looking at, even if you left 135,000 into this property, you'd still be able to cash out all the money you have into it. Would it still cash flow if you went to
Yes.
80?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll still cash flow a little over 1,000 a month, with a refi at 675.
So this is a classic like twist on a burr, essentially, right? Like buy, renovate, refinance, rent, repeat with a short-term rental and a long-term rental, and something that you guys can use as your own cottage for vacation rental purposes.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Really unique transaction, and sounds like, you know, a lot of the due diligence that you did in the beginning to just know that you could put in like this short-term rental and you could do what you wanted to do has paid off in droves for sure.
Yeah.
We didn't expect it to increase in value that much, but with what happened with the market has just like that market has just exploded. So, you know, we'd like to say we're geniuses, but we had some pretty good fortune there. Worked our butts off. We worked a good deal. Like, the easiest money you're going to make is on the purchase, right? Like, I am not lifting a finger, and we made probably about $60,000 easy.
Because you purchased it under market value.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
yeah, phenomenal. I love this deal. Thank you guys so much for walking us through. And I think there's a lot of, for folks looking to get into short-term rentals and short-term accommodations, which is going to be, I think, very popular in like I say, for domestic travel, people looking at alternatives. Your biggest takeaway would be what for this transaction? What's the one thing you've probably learned on this one that you will forever take to your next deals?
Oh, so many.
So many learnings.
So many learnings. Don't wear your diamond wedding ring when you're renovating, because your diamond will pop off and it'll fall under the deck, and then you'll spend weeks trying to find it.
You'll spend weeks pulling up the deck boards looking for a diamond that was actually in the fridge.
Yeah, but we won't talk about that. We're not going to talk about that. No, I would say the biggest learning was probably the fact that out of this pandemic that we've all been through, who would have known that, you know, it's so hard to get on a plane now, that everybody is traveling in their backyard and they're craving getting out of their four walls and seeing something new and experiencing something new and staying local. You know, that to me has been huge. So that was big.
The thing I didn't expect was actually meeting and becoming friends with so many of the locals. You hear that locals may be standoffish or look down on city people or whatever, but if you make an effort to engage and they see that you're working hard to improve their neighborhood and being very respectful, you're like brother and sister to them. There's nothing they won't do. Quick story. We slept on an air mattress for
4.5 months.
For 4.5 months.
That's cool.
And you're still married. Wow.
Yeah, it would have been awesome if we actually brought the air pump for this air mattress.
Yeah.
So our neighbor across the street very graciously said, "Bring your air mattress across here. I've got air compressor in my garage," and he hooked us up, carried the air mattress
across
the street. We've just made some great friends out
ladders, table saws, but all the things, like everybody's been so amazing.
Awesome. Well, Wendy, Mike, thank you guys for taking some time out of your day to join me and to really explain this strategy. I think it's phenomenal, and I'm so happy for you guys. You've created this beautiful trifecta of a rental property that is a short-term rental, long-term rental, and also a vacation property for you guys. If you guys enjoyed the session with Wendy and Mike, go ahead and hit the like button. You can also subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and please feel free to leave comments and questions below for me. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or check out my website at darrenvoros.com. With that, I'll say thank you guys again so much for joining me. I wish you the best of success on your real estate investing journey. And I know that our paths will cross hopefully sooner than later because we live just around the corner from one another. Let's get
Down the
together
street.
soon.
He's right over there.
Let's get together for a socially distant, freezing cold beer in the back.
Hey, Canada.
Yeah, thanks guys, and have a wonderful evening. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.